On today's episode, I find out what it takes to build a Honda engine swap mount at Hasport Performance. So this right here is a K-Series engine stuffed into a CRZ. And Brian, you're the man behind that. And also Hasport Performance. So can you tell me a little bit about Hasport, what you guys do?
Yeah, Hasport is a manufacturer of aftermarket engine mounts and engine swap mounts for Hondas. We've been doing this,
Longer than I've been around.
Yeah, 18 years, I think
Yeah.
now. So quite a while. This particular swap is K-Series and CRZ. I think the CRZ is going to become pretty inexpensive to own in another 4 or 5 years, so we're trying to get ahead on that with the K-Series swap kit. We also are doing a lot of work with older cars. I mean, we started selling 88 to 91 B-Series mounts back in 97, possibly 98, and for probably 10 years we sold 100 kits a month, and
Wow.
we still sell about 40 kits a month on those things. It's just amazing that they're still modifying them the way they are. But of course, we have more popular kits now. We do a lot of stock replacement mounts, and we do a lot of engine swap mounts with the K-Series stuff.
That's the bread and butter, right?
Yeah, I would say that the K-swap has actually supplanted the B-Series swap as far as putting them in newer cars. There's still a lot of B-Series swaps going. They use stock mounts, or we also make mounts for that. But the K-Series is huge right now.
Definitely. All right, well, why don't we go have a look and you can show me around how mounts are actually made.
You bet.
Because it looks like a cool process.
All right, so the basic process for doing a mount, we have actually 7 of these CNC mills that run pretty much 8 hours a day. Some of the mounts start off as a solid piece of billet. Some of them actually start off as a custom extrusion to cut
Right.
down on the waste.
Yep.
They basically just get put in the vice jaws. What'll happen is the machine will come in, it'll machine the part. Then when I open up the mill next time, this part gets flipped here, this part gets flipped here, and this part gets flipped in here. So each time we open it up, everything changes position once, and then a finished part comes out.
Nice.
The finished parts look like this right here.
Very, very cool. Wow, so this one machine does all that work.
Right.
How impressive.
So these happen to be rear mounts for like 2012 Civics. We sell hundreds of these every month. I mean, this is a really popular car, and it helps get rid of a lot of the engine movement on these. We actually make a full kit for them as well. Some people with turbos and our road racing cars do a full kit.
So definitely for the performance-oriented individual.
Exactly.
Of course.
This makes it actually more drivable at low speeds as well as much more drivable at high speeds. So that's probably why we sell so many of them.
Well, very cool.
Let's flip it on, see what it does.
Yeah.
It's actually using air to cool the tool at this particular point.
Yeah, that's neat.
This tool is so sharp that almost all the heat goes into the chip as opposed to going into the part. So they can use air to actually cool the tool.
Wow.
On some of the tools though, they have to use fluid. You'll see when they switch to one of the other tools, they'll come in and start cooling it with a liquid cooling.
Wow. So it'll just sit there and slowly cut away.
Yeah, it'll pick up the pace on this next cut. This is just to clean it up to make sure it's of a particular height. That the billet got cut a little bit wide. It comes in there and just kind of cleans it up, and now it'll actually start dumping in there and cutting pretty hard.
All right, Brian. So now we have ourselves a billet mount cut. What's next in the process?
Next in the process is assembling with the urethane. The urethane actually comes in a bunch of different durometers. We have what we call our street urethane, which is a 62A durometer. Kind of soft. You can pinch it and see that it flexes, and then from there we go up
That's
to
more so for the guy that's rocking a K-swap or whatever.
in a street car.
Right, street car, so daily kind of thing.
Exactly.
Good.
Then it goes up from there. We have 70, which is a little bit stiffer. People that are tracking their cars and stuff like that and don't want the engine jumping around in there. Those are a little bit stiffer. Then we go to 88A, which is quite a bit harder. Then drag racers, guys with big turbos, and sometimes people can actually do like softer mounts right and left side and maybe a stiffer mount in the rear.
Oh, okay.
And that actually
makes
helps
sense.
control it quite a bit without adding a lot of extra vibration.
Good.
So
Good to
you
know.
can kind of mix and match. Then 94A feels like dowel run. In fact, if you throw this hard enough at somebody, it'll knock them out. And then of course we have billet aluminum. These particular ones are actually machined, and the mounts are then turned and smoothed out, so they have
just drop right in.
a really tight fit. So and these are really popular with the drag guys right now. Particularly this particular one's a K series, but a lot of guys who are running B series can't have the motor move at all for their shifter.
I gotcha.
It causes problems. So the billets are actually
for the old race application is the billet.
exactly. That'll make your change dance on your dash.
Right.
Anyway, here we're gonna stuff these mounts. A piece of urethane goes in from either side, then a pin is pressed in, and that actually kind of locks the urethane in place.
Cool. And tell me, I noticed that there's grooves within the mounts themselves. And
Yeah.
What's that all about?
The grooves basically help retain the urethane. What happens is, particularly on the left and right mounts, there's a little bit of rocking going on. So the urethane we found early on when we used to just use tubing, not machining the mounts, the urethane would kind of pop out
I
and
see. Okay.
and loosen.
So
With
this
the grooves,
keeps it in place.
With the grooves, it kind of keeps it in place. The other thing is having the hole slightly undersized. When you slide the pin in, it kind of forces the urethane out and helps it
okay.
engage a little bit better in the mount.
Cool. Well, let's watch this all come together. And here we go.
Stuff the urethane one at a time,
Yeah.
and then a little soapy water, help the pin slide in.
Yeah, you got that down pat.
Yeah, you do a few hundred of them
You're right.
a day.
I have to admit, I'm a big fan of the press that you have here. Old school here, Brian.
Sometimes you have to use the press to kind of squeeze it in there.
Yeah.
So nice and flat.
And there we go. The mounts are ready to go.
So we have a 2-watt Mitsubishi laser that basically cuts all our brackets. It actually cuts really fast, quite a bit faster than the mills do, because it's basically just tracing out a pattern. But all the brackets are cut in-house. We use it quite a bit for prototyping as well.
I gotcha.
Not just doing the production. But basically, the time it takes to cut a sheet about this big with these brackets on it is a little less than 2 hours. It cuts at about 100 inches a minute.
So you can pump them out pretty quick.
Pretty quick, exactly. So the parts come off the laser, and the next thing the step in the process is bending them. So basically, this has a series of numbers. One of them is a back gauge to determine how deep it is. The next one is the depth gauge to tell how much we bend it. So these things are all programmed in. They're measurement values. So the process looks like this. Because of the depth gauge, we get the 76
Look at
degrees
that. Yeah.
that we need. From there, we do a 90-degree bend. And
And
there
now
we
we've
go.
got ourselves a mount bracket.
This gets paired up with another piece, welded on, and this happens to be for a K series and an EF. Interestingly enough, this is the last run we're making of these. We're getting ready to change the design to be dual height, so that you can stick a K24 underneath the hood without
Having to chop the hood?
without having to chop the hood.
Look at that.
That'll be out in about a month.
Yeah, I'd say 3 years ago, people didn't think that was going to be possible.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're in the main machine shop. There's actually 6 CNC machines in here. This is actually our original one. All the others have pallet changes, which means the changing of the parts in the vice jaws actually gets done outside of the machine. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to show you, on a lot of the mounts, we use a custom extrusion. By using this custom extrusion, a lot of the shaping is already done, and this way we cut down on weight. This part used to be cut out of a solid billet piece that was like 4 inches by 6 inches, and probably with about 80% waste. With this custom extrusion, the waste is down to about 20%.
Oh, wow.
So it makes it a lot more efficient when doing it. These parts are, they use less aluminum when they come to us, so it's less expensive that way. But more important, we're selling less scrap back to the recycler. So again, these also sped up the process. It probably took a process that was over an hour to under 40 minutes. So it helped out tremendously. Right now they're changing the parts in the machine. They're getting ready to run it again. These parts go in, get put onto the individual vices, and then from there they'll close the machine back up and start it running.
Very cool. And that's what our finished part looks like.
Something else we added in the last couple of years here was axles. Hasport actually makes its own axle shaft. We found that with the swaps, so a lot of custom links were needed. We were able to find Honda parts for some of the swap, but it's difficult to buy axle bars in the links you want, so Hasport started making axles. These are actually chromoly, hardened chromoly. We cut the splines in them using a lathe with a live head on it. Once that's done, the chromoly gets sent back out, hardened again a second time, and then we can make them in basically whatever length we want. Times we actually had to farm out having the axles made, and that was kind of expensive. Making them in-house actually saves quite a bit of money. We're able to lower the cost on axles. At some point, we may wind up making the outer joints as well. Right now, we recommend people use factory Honda joints on our shafts if they're doing something like road racing. We have a joint that's available for street use that makes it easy to get a hold of. So, 18 years ago, we started off the mount kit business at that time as basically solid plates that were welded together. We wanted to be unique, so we chose aluminum. After years, like these 2 plates got replaced with a piece of billet, and this back piece got replaced with a billet, and then eventually we just made the change over to all billet. So the things just kind of morphed. But this kind of shows the beginning.
Yeah, it's
and where
super
it's come
cool.
to, where
it's
it's
come a long way,
now.
right?
Yeah, quite a bit different. So this is our drag car. We're using it to test our V6 mounts. As a matter of fact, we're going to try something kind of unique. We're going to switch over to a Honda Ridgeline motor with automatic transmission.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to make mounts to start doing the automatic transmissions in these cars. We're hoping that the Ridgeline transmission is stout enough that we can maybe even boost the motor without killing the transmission. But we think it'd be really interesting to have a car that would run 10 seconds or better on an automatic transmission.
And with this swap, is it a production piece now? You can buy the engine mounts?
Yeah, you can
and
buy
all that jazz?
Absolutely. You can buy the J series swap mounts. It actually comes in 2 versions. We don't have the automatic ones out yet. That'll probably come within the next 4 months. But right now, if you have a manual transmission and you have about anywhere up until about a 2007 engine, with that transmission, you can bolt it into this car. It comes this way. This is the tallest of the mounts. It's got the best ground clearance. There actually is another kit that's dual height that allows you to move the engine up or down. It mounts a little bit lower and a little bit further lower, or a little bit lower, excuse me. Let me try that again. It mounts the engine a little bit lower, and then if you flip the mounts, it further lowers the motor.
Very cool.
Then That allows you to tuck the motor underneath the hood if you're trying for some sort of stealth deal. The problem, of course, is not very much ground clearance when you do it really low.
That seems to be an issue with these engines,
Right.
but people are making them work.
Yeah. At the higher position, by the way, with the other mount kit, you can use the newer style manifold, which is really short. You can get it underneath the hood, and it has okay ground clearance.
Well, very cool. Brian, I want to thank you for letting me walk around here and tour Hasport. If people want to find Hasport, where do they go?
Hasport, of course, is on the web at www.hasport.com. We also have a Facebook page, Facebook/Hasport. And then you can come see me, Brian at Hasport. I'm on Facebook, and my email is brian@hasport.com. That's it.